Hello again, everyone. So today we're going to discuss a topic that is disrupting education as we know it, generative artificial intelligence, or GAI. Now, many of you have already encountered tools like ChatGPT or DALL-E in your daily lives, but today we're going to look at how these tools can be used ethically and responsibly in your roles, both as EdD students and as future academic leaders. Gen AI presents both opportunities and challenges that we need to address. With this technology's potential comes a responsibility. We need to use AI thoughtfully, ensuring it aligns with our commitment to integrity, equity, and rigor. So we're going to focus on two key points today. The first is understanding how you use generative AI ethically in your own work right now. And the second goal is forward looking. As future academics, you have the chance to influence the ethical landscape around AI use. The standards for AI are still emerging, and academia plays a critical role in defining them. So it's essential to ask not just how do I use AI, but also how can my work contribute to the broader research on the ethical use of these tools? By critically engaging with AI now, you're contributing to the kind of ethical foundation that will guide future researchers and shape the standards we uphold in higher education and beyond. Acknowledging the use of GAI tools in generating text and images is an important step in maintaining transparency and integrity in any project. Therefore, I want to attribute these innovative technologies and the sophisticated algorithms that enhance creativity and efficiency in producing quality content. By utilizing GAI tools, I've been able to generate text and images that enrich my work and save valuable time. In the planning and creation of both this presentation and the takeaway lesson, I've benefited from using GAI tools, and I want to acknowledge their use in this process. So let's start with the practical side. How you can use GAI ethically and responsibly as EdD students. I'm going to talk about 4 principles that can help guide you in this process. The first principle is transparency. When using tools like ChatGPT, always make it clear in your work where and how these tools were employed. This transparency is essential not only for academic integrity, but also for just building trust in your work. As you see in this and the coming slides, I'm citing and acknowledging various colleges and universities as examples of guidance for these 4 principles of ethical and responsible GAI use for graduate students. This one is from the University of North Carolina. Our second principle is academic integrity. Generative AI tools can help with writing, summarizing, and even analyzing research, but we need to use them responsibly. AI tools may generate content that isn't fully accurate or properly cited. So how do we ensure that we maintain our academic integrity when using these tools? I mean, since GAI can help with everything, how can you discern what it should help you with? A good rule of thumb is that the AI should enhance and augment your thinking, not produce or replace it. The human, you, should be front and center in the work done, whether that's writing, research, or analysis. Harvard's Graduate School of Education suggests you ensure that the core ideas in your work are your own. This is a critical component in personal integrity as well as academic integrity. Don't let the AI compromise your principles. Use it intentionally and with discretion. One of the biggest challenges of using generative AI tools is maintaining academic integrity. As researchers, we have a responsibility to ensure that the content we produce is original and upholds the values of scholarly work. Generative AI should serve as a partner in our research, enhancing our thinking and not replacing it. Think of it as a tool that supports our ideas, helpful for initial structure or brainstorming, but not a substitute for critical analysis and synthesis. Transparency is also key. If you're using AI in your process, be open about it. This builds trust and shows respect for academic honesty. Equally important is proper acknowledgement. Just like any source, AI contributions should be cited or noted as part of your research journey. This avoids unintentional plagiarism and highlights the collaborative aspect of human and AI work. Lastly, remember AI's limitations. It doesn't always handle citations accurately, and it can miss important context. So it's essential to double check all sources and conclusions for authenticity and relevance. Academic integrity means making sure that every word in your final document reflects not just data, but also thoughtful, critical analysis that only you, as the researcher, can provide. Using AI ethically means treating its output as the beginning of an academic journey, not the destination. The third principle is privacy and data protection. One concern with using GAI tools is about the privacy of your data. When you enter your research or writing into an AI tool, where does that information go? Does the tool store it? This is especially important in educational contexts where privacy is crucial. Let's say you're working on a project involving interviews with teachers about their experiences in under-resourced schools. It's crucial that you don't input names, locations, or any other identifying information into an AI tool. Even seemingly harmless details can sometimes lead to identification when combined with other data. So make sure that you're taking every possible step to protect the confidentiality of your research subjects. As the University of Minnesota's graduate school recommends, you should consult your institution's guidelines on data privacy before you input your data into GAI tools. And if needed, anonymize your data to ensure the research participant's privacy is maintained before inputting it into any AI system. We know that privacy is a critical concern, particularly when dealing with sensitive data in educational research. And we know that many generative AI tools collect and store the data you input, which could pose significant risks if that data includes identifiable or sensitive information. Consider a scenario where you're using AI to analyze data from student interviews. If those transcripts contain any identifiable information, like names or locations, you could inadvertently expose sensitive information. So before using any AI tool, it's essential to anonymize this data. Remove or mask personal details that could lead to identification. And always read the privacy policies of the AI tool you're using. Are they storing your data? Is the data used for training the model further? These are questions you need answers to before using any AI tool. And a good practice is to always err on the side of caution. If you wouldn't be comfortable sharing it publicly, it shouldn't be put into an AI tool. The fourth principle is bias and equity. As Stanford's human-centered AI states, not all data is neutral. This principle is especially important when working with generative AI, as these models often learn from massive data sets that reflect real-world biases. Now, while this can be subtle, it can also impact the quality of the AI's output. Consider an example related to gender dynamics in educational leadership. If AI generates a summary of existing research on this topic, it might subtly suggest that certain leadership qualities are more associated with men based on patterns in their training data. This doesn't necessarily mean the AI is aware of these biases. It's simply replicating patterns it has learned from. So that's why it's so important to approach AI outputs critically. Ask yourself, Does this perspective align with equitable standards? Could it reinforce a stereotype that might limit a fuller understanding of the topic? By actively questioning these factors, you maintain control over your work's quality and accuracy. Ultimately, our goal in using AI should be to amplify fairness, not replicate the biases of the past. Being mindful of this allows you to leverage AI responsibly, enhancing rather than compromising the quality of your research. Artificial intelligence is a powerful tool, but it's not perfect. It's trained on existing data, which means it can reflect biases present in the real world. That could be gender bias, racial bias, or even outdated information. This is especially important in educational research where fairness and accuracy are key. So it's your responsibility to recognize potential bias in content generated by these systems and to take active steps to mitigate that bias and ensure equity. Having a human-centered approach means you must use your critical thinking and evaluate all AI-generated output. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What challenges do you foresee when using generative AI in your writing and research? Please type your responses in the chat box. This could be related to transparency, academic integrity, privacy, maintaining originality, potential biases, or anything else you're concerned about. Your input will help shape our Q&A session that follows, and it'll allow us to address specific issues that are most relevant to you. So take a few moments, type, continue typing even while I move on to the next slide. That's not a problem. Next, I'd like to talk about the second goal for this presentation, how you can contribute to the broader research on the ethical use of these tools as future academics. While you're in the chat, take a few moments right now and also put some initial ideas to answer the question, what will be your contributions to the field of education? Once I stop screen sharing, I'll take a look at your responses and we can talk about them. So, as we think about areas of research that you might explore and contribute to in the field of graduate education, I thought it would be helpful if I offered some specific suggestions on how you might think about using GAI tools in your work. So I'm going to provide some items to consider. First, consider intentionally choosing AI platforms that are specifically designed for academia, education, and research. And also consider using these tools to assist you with specific areas of your writing and research, like literature reviews, first drafts, research summaries, and brainstorming. I'll be talking a little bit about two tools that I think are the best options for you as graduate students, since they both take steps to address some of these concerns we've been talking about regarding integrity, privacy, and bias. Elicit is designed specifically for academic research, making it an excellent choice for you. Elicit's ability to automate parts of the research workflow could significantly speed up the literature review process, which is crucial for doctorate level work. Perplexity combines AI and human expertise to deliver accurate and up-to-date information. This tool can be particularly helpful for EdD students looking to quickly gather information on educational topics or to summarize complex ideas. So let's look at Elicit in a little more detail. I thought a good way to accomplish that would be to review some of the FAQs for the tool. One question relates to the accuracy of the generated responses. As you notice from the site's response, a good rule of thumb is to assume that around 90% of the information you see is accurate and that it's very important for you to verify the results yourself. Another question that's really important and should be asked of all GAI tools you might consider: what is it not a good fit for? And in this case, Elicit tells you up front that it's not good on direct factual answers to questions, especially if the topic is not normally included in academic papers. Elicit says of itself, quote, "It tends to work less well for identifying facts. For example, how many cars were sold in Malaysia last year? And in theoretical or non-empirical domains," unquote. It goes on to say, quote, "Researchers commonly use Elicit to speed up literature review, find papers they couldn't find elsewhere, automate systemic reviews and meta-analyses, learn about a new domain." And it tells us Elicit tends to work best for empirical domains that involve experiments and concrete results. This type of research is common in biomedicine and machine learning, unquote. Another FAQ relates to the source for the AI's knowledge. Again, this is a pertinent question for any AI tool you might consider. Elicit states that it utilizes the semantic scholar corpus. And according to their website, quote, "Semantic Scholar provides free AI-driven search and discovery tools and open resources for the global research community. They index over 200 million academic papers sourced from publisher partnerships, data providers, and web crawls," unquote. The final question we'll consider from Elicit's FAQs is about data that you input into the AI. What happens to it? Again, this is a question you should ask for any AI tool you use. Elicit states that papers uploaded to its platform will not be shared. Note, however, that the response given on the site does not explicitly state that the information will not be stored or used to train the model for future use. The second tool to consider is Perplexity AI. Now, this GAI tool has, as you see, a similar look and feel to ChatGPT. According to their FAQs, quote, "Perplexity is a free AI search engine designed to revolutionize the way you discover information. Ask any question, and it searches the internet to give you an accessible, conversational, and verifiable answer. Think of Perplexity as a research partner, always on the clock, saving you valuable time by providing the precise knowledge you need," unquote. Also, according to their site, the defining characteristic is reliable sources. They say, quote, "Every answer is backed by citations from trusted news outlets, academic papers, and established blogs," unquote. Perplexity AI is a powerful and user-friendly tool that could significantly enhance your research and writing process. You might find it particularly useful for several reasons. Perplexity combines artificial intelligence with human expertise to deliver accurate and up-to-date information. This is crucial for doctoral students like you who need to stay abreast of the latest developments in your field. The platform uses a conversational search engine that responds to queries in natural language. So that makes it easy to ask complex questions and receive comprehensive answers, which is invaluable when exploring intricate educational topics. Perplexity excels at summarizing search results. This feature could save you significant time when conducting lit reviews or trying to grasp the key points of multiple sources quickly. The tool provides direct answers with included inline citations. This feature is particularly helpful for academic writing, as it allows you to quickly identify and verify sources. Note, the entire script for this slide and the best practices shown here were written by Perplexity. Perplexity recommends that the AI should complement, not replace, your own thinking, which of course echoes what we've discussed earlier in this presentation. Some practical applications for using Perplexity could include lit reviews. Use Perplexity to efficiently scan through large volumes of academic literature, helping you identify key themes, relevant sources for your research. Research question formulation. The tool can assist in refining your research questions by providing insights into current trends and identifying gaps in educational research. Data analysis insights. While not a substitute for rigorous statistical analysis, Perplexity AI can offer initial insights into data trends and patterns, potentially guiding your more in-depth analyses. And writing assistance. Leverage the tool to overcome writer's block, generate ideas, or find alternative ways to express complex educational concepts. Note, the ethical considerations and practical applications shown on this slide were generated by Perplexity about using Perplexity. So how can generative AI be beneficial for you as EdD students? Well, one example, as we've discussed, is conducting literature reviews. You can use AI to help summarize existing research quickly, giving you a foundation to build upon. But it's crucial to remember that these summaries might miss small but necessary details, and that's where your expertise comes in. So, for example, AI might overlook contrasting viewpoints in the literature, which are crucial if you're trying to give a balanced review. Always use AI as a tool to expedite your work, not replace your critical analysis. For instance, AI might help you identify key themes, but you'll need to dig deeper to understand the context and the differing viewpoints. AI tools can assist with drafting, whether it's a first draft of a section of your paper or writing out some main points. The key here is to always revise and add your academic voice to ensure that the content remains true to your intent and standards. For example, you could use AI to draft an introduction, but then refine it to ensure that it captures your unique perspective and aligns with the scholarly tone desired for your work. Remember, the key to revise and add your academic voice to ensure that the content remains true to your intent and meets scholarly standards. It's easy to generate a research summary or even an entire paragraph using an AI tool, but making sure that it meets the rigorous standards of academic writing is another story. For instance, AI might generate content that lacks the depth or nuance required for scholarly discourse. A practical tip to help you address these challenges include advice to always cross-reference AI-generated summaries with original sources to ensure accuracy and depth. Another case use is brainstorming. AI can be great for generating ideas when you're stuck, especially if you're trying to formulate research questions. It's like having a brainstorming partner that never runs out of suggestions. For example, if you're trying to narrow down a topic related to educational leadership, you could use AI to generate a list of potential subtopics. Just keep in mind that not every idea the AI generates will be good, but it's a helpful way to expand your thinking and explore angles that you might not have considered. Before we move on to the Q&A, let's address some of the limitations of generative AI tools. One of the most important things to realize is that these tools do not understand content the way a human does. They predict text based on patterns and can sometimes produce inaccurate or misleading information. For instance, if you ask an AI to summarize a complex theoretical framework, it might miss key details or misinterpret the relationships between concepts, particularly in educational theories where context is key. Another limitation is the lack of depth. AI-generated content can often miss the subtleties of an argument or the nuances present in scholarly work. This is why human oversight is crucial. No matter how advanced AI becomes, it's your critical thinking that ultimately shapes high-quality academic research. For example, if you're writing a discussion section on the impact of school policies on student outcomes, AI might generate generic conclusions, but it's your role to provide the deeper insights and connections that make your research impactful. Always approach AI-generated content as a draft that requires your expertise to be fully realized. So, to mitigate the limitations of AI, there are several key strategies you can adopt, and I'd like to leave you with these recommendations. First, always cross-check AI-generated content with reliable sources to ensure accuracy, as AI can miss subtle details or misinterpret data. As an example, if you use AI to summarize research articles, go back to the original text and confirm that the key points are represented correctly. This verification not only enhances credibility, but also ensures correct representation of the information. Second, always incorporate your personal insights and reflections. While AI can lay a foundation, it lacks the depth of human experience. Let's say the AI drafts an initial section of your literature review. It might not necessarily make the connections between the research or point out the conflicts in the findings. That's where your expertise comes in. By adding your unique perspective, identifying relationships, or highlighting gaps, you turn an AI output into something that demonstrates true scholarly rigor. Third, use AI as a tool for efficiency, but never as a replacement for your academic rigor. AI is great for getting past writer's block or generating ideas quickly, but the intellectual work, your ability to connect ideas, critique methodologies, and synthesize information, that must come from you. For instance, if AI provides suggestions for structuring an argument, it's your responsibility to decide which points are valid and which might require further evidence. And finally, one of the best ways to mitigate AI's limitations is to collaborate with peers or mentors. AI tools don't have the capacity to gauge whether your work is truly innovative or impactful. Sharing your work with colleagues can provide you with feedback that no AI can offer, insights into areas that need more exploration, feedback on clarity, and ideas on where your argument could be made stronger. So, in just a moment, I'll stop screen sharing and open the session to questions. And we'll take the next, 10 or 15 minutes of this session to discuss items in the chat and address any questions that you may have. I'm also going to add to the chat several links for you to have, including this presentation, as well as a RISE lesson that I designed as your kind of takeaway item for use as a future resource. So thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. Let me stop the screen share so I can answer your questions and we can continue the discussion.